Board with Friends, episode 26. Doom.
I mean, I'm not allowed to tell that story because Zach wants to stay on topic.
Stay on topic. All right, well, we got a little off topic.
Again, 40%. I'm lazy, and I'm a mooch. That's what I do.
This is not that kind of podcast.
Welcome to Board with Friends, the podcast about hobby gaming and trying to find things to do in Connecticut, because there's really not much going on here. I'm Zach Dyer, and on today's show, I am joined by Sean Bissonette.
Apparently, I have a great supervillain face.
You do. You really do. Without the snidely whiplash.
Yeah, you know.
Despite your weak mustache. And on the other side of things, we have returning champion Walter Scott.
With a strong mustache and a strong odor.
I'm not sure which one is stronger. Actually, I am sure, because we used to be roommates. I am pretty sure I know which one of those is stronger.
It's the mustache, right? I'm not missing the joke.
Anyway, it's been a while since you guys have been on. Thank you for coming back on the show.
Today.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I appreciate it.
Feels like it's been forever.
It really
Yeah,
has.
it does
At
feel
least
like it's
two
been-
episodes. Honestly, what's been going on with you guys? Anything fun?
Easter,
Easter?
stuff like that. Making kids chase after eggs that I've hidden in places. And then finding out that those kids have fear of those places.
Where did
I
you
found out my
hide
son
the
doesn't like
eggs?
bushes. He's petrified of bushes.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say he's petrified of the Easter Bunny, because every child is petrified of the Easter Bunny. I don't understand why we make them go look at the Easter Bunny, but he's afraid of bushes?
Yeah, he's afraid to put his hand in bushes. It creeps him out. I don't know.
Well, they're full of
I mean,
thorns and snakes.
Yeah, I guess to an extent I understand it. Like survival mentality, it kind of makes sense. But it was like, everyone else is putting their hands in the bush, and we're like, it's not the Gom Jabbar, kid. Just come on, dude.
You
just
should
put it in there.
You should put glow sticks in the bushes, so it looks like the glowing monster eyes.
Oh God, you traumatized the poor kid.
Well, that's what we do at Halloween. It's fun.
But Halloween's all about traumatizing your children, from what I understand. But if you did put but did you think maybe putting some googly eyes on the bush, because that would make it more approachable? It's
Everything's
like,
better
come
with
look
googly
your
eyes.
hand in me.
Oddly enough, he'd probably be like, no, now the hills have eyes.
No, it's now the bushes have eyes. Anyway, recently I got to play a lot of games because it was my birthday and I did a whole gaming day. My wife was very kind to sort of accommodate me doing from almost waking up, not really, a little bit after that, after breakfast and after people were available, all the way into the wee hours of the night. People just kept stopping in and playing a couple games with me, including my mother, including you guys, including some other friends. It was really awesome. And yeah, I just had a whole day of gaming, and which was pretty darn cool. I got to play with the kids. I got to play with friends. I loved it. I want to do it every day of the year instead of actually going to work and doing grown-up things, because that's not fun anymore. If you'd have to agree with me, I'm sure.
It's never fun. It's never been fun.
I hear you, man.
I think I'd get bored of board gaming. No, I don't think I would if I got to play it all the time. But one of my favorite games of the day, and we actually played this game probably 5 times within a week, is the new game from Green Couch Games, Rocky Road a la Mode. I think I told you guys about this when I backed it on Kickstarter. It's the ice cream truck game.
I seem to recall this.
Yeah, I told you about it.
It sounds familiar. I'm actually looking it up right now so I can see the box art.
So if you're familiar with the game Splendor, which I don't think either of you are, but our listeners might be, it's similar in mechanics to that. Basically, you're all ice cream truck drivers, and you're trying to gain supremacy in the neighborhood and earn all that big ice cream truck money. And the way you do it is you have these multi-purpose cards. The cards have, in the top left corner, they'll show what type of ice cream that could be used for, whether it could be an ice cream cone, whether it could be a rocket pop, whether it could, a push pop, or, like a blue ice pop or something like that. Just multiple different kinds of ice cream. And then underneath it, it will show what customers it represents, so you can attract customers. And in the top right corner, there's a little symbol of like a speaker playing music, and it'll tell you how much time it takes to attract those customers. So on your turn, you get to decide what you want to do. Do you want to draw and restock, your ice cream, or do you want to, fulfill an order for a customer? So the neat thing is that there's a little tiny board. This is the first Green Couch game that actually comes with a board, and everybody gets a little ice cream truck, and that marks your your space, on that board itself. It's just a street of the neighborhood that you're all in. And the twist of the game that's different than Splendor is everything that you do uses up time. And as you use up time to do whatever action you want to do, you move your ice cream truck along it. And the person who is furthest back on the track gets to go next. So it's possible that you could get multiple turns in before somebody else does. So if Walt decides to restock all his ice cream in his truck, he could take up to 5 cards. That takes 5 units of time. So his ice cream truck is going to move 5 spaces forward on the board. And then Sean might just fulfill an order, which only takes up 1 unit of time. So he only moves 1 space forward, and the trucks stack on top of each other. So the person who is furthest back or at the top of a stack is the next player in turn order. As you fulfill orders for customers, you move your card a little bit up, and eventually you get to keep that card permanently. You turn it sideways, and on the very bottom of the card, it'll have victory points, and it will have permanent ice cream that you will always have in stock. So you no longer have to discard cards in order to fill the orders. It's really cool, and it plays really fast because you only have to go to 9 points, I think. And then once the one person hits 9 points, it triggers the last round, and anybody who is not ahead of the player who triggered the last round gets to take enough turns in order to pass them, and then it's over. So it's possible to get more than 9 points, but usually, you're right around that range. And it doesn't sound like a lot of points to get to, but it does take a little while to build that engine and get there. So you could try to build an engine of getting a lot of ice cream permanently in stock and earn these victory point cards. Like if you have 3 ice cream cones, you get 4 points for that. 3 permanent ice cream cones. Or you could try to fulfill the orders that give you just straight up victory points. Both are valuable strategies, but it really just depends on the luck of the draw on the cards, which way you're going to go. I had a lot of fun with this game, and it plays really fast. It is probably my favorite of the Green Couch games to come out so far. Definitely better than Avalanche on Yeti Mountain, and I really liked it even more than I did Best Treehouse Ever, because I think the theme is really fun, and it just crushes Splendor for me. I no longer even want to play the Splendor game. I have Splendor on my phone, and I have played the board game that my mother has it, but this is just way more fun. And we just kept busting it out and playing it throughout the entire week that I was playing games, on my birthday and around it. And we've been having a lot of fun with it. So I really recommend this game.
Yeah, I'm looking. It sounds cool, and I'm looking at just random reviews and on their on Board Game Geek, it's like a little breakdown thing. It sounds really cool, and it looks really cool. But yeah, I mean, we played Avalanche on Yeti Mountain a while ago, and I liked it, but this definitely looks like it's better.
It definitely has. It's got a similar feel to other Green Couch games in the fact that it's quicker. It's a quick fun. I mean, that's their whole MO is quick filler games. 20 minutes of filler is the name of their podcast, actually.
Yeti Mountain was pretty quick. That was over within I think a half hour.
Yeah,
all of them will probably run that time frame. But this
really
one,
fast.
I mean, we banged out a game within 15-20 minutes. Once you get the mechanics down, it's just boom, boom, boom. The turns go, and I don't know. I just loved it. Like, it was so much strategy in the cards, and because they were multi-purpose cards, I was having a lot of fun with this game. I really recommend it to people. Really. So that's
it looks cool. I like it.
Road
Looks neat.
Mode from Green Couch.
Speaking of food, you had asked me earlier if there were any games I played. I knew there was one I was missing, and I remembered the game I played, and I took my son to the Warwick Library. Don't know why I included the name of the library. I took him to the library, and
because we're proud of Rhode Island, damn it.
We're proud of Rhode Island. Yeah.
I mean, Warwick's just kind of whatever, though. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a good selection of board games for the kids, and while I'm sitting there, he's 3 now, so he's getting to a point where I try to introduce him to games. I tried introducing him to this Feed the Pig game, and that didn't really go over well. He was more into the gimmick of making the pig's belly button pop out versus actually playing the game. So that didn't last very long. But we went to the library, and there was a mother-daughter couple playing this picnic game that he really seemed into. So he walked over, and he was kind of watching them play, and then the mother invited us to play with them. And they showed us this game. And it was kind of unfortunate that all the kids at that point came over and also wanted to play the game because it just devolved into nonsense, as kids tend to do. Junior seemed interested in learning the rules of the game, whereas the other kids didn't. The game was I looked it up, is later called the Picnic Spinner Game, and it's a very simple game.
That's
but
the
it's
actual
got
name
props,
of the game.
and I dig a game with actual props. Like it comes with a picnic blanket that you lay out, and plates, silverware, and all that stuff. And the whole point of the game is you start with nothing. You start with just an empty blanket, and you spin this dial like Twister style, and your goal is to get a complete set of picnic utensils and stuff like that. A plate, silverware, one of each food group and stuff like that. But there's also a spot on the spinner for ants, and the ants will steal your food. So trying to explain this to my son, he was able to get it. I was kind of annoyed that the mother that was playing was one of those, and you run into these when you hang out with other parents, these parents that don't like negative consequences in games. They take them out so that way the kids don't feel bad when something happens. And I'm like, they're just losing a piece. But she was like, oh no, if they hit the ants, they just spin again. And I'm like, I'm looking at the rules, and I'm not going to argue with this woman in front of her kids or anything like that, but I'm just looking at the rules going, well, that's not how that works, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. You know, you were playing this game when we came over here anyway. It's got, don't want to be that guy like, oh, you're playing this game wrong.
You're going to be a rules lawyer for
I mean,
a little kids game.
Well, no, but it's they need to whatever. We're not going to get into this right now. That's silly. They don't even like lose. They basically lose some progress.
Yeah, it just delays you.
I'll
And
modify
I
a
did like
kids
the
game's
fact that
rules
there
for
are food groups where it's
some
like
things.
you have main dish items, fruit items, drink items, vegetable items, dinner items, and then there are, you can kind of play the game of telling your kid which foods fall in which group, and like, okay, you can pick your favorite. And I remember one of the only contention that my son had with the game was that he wanted the cupcake, and someone else got the cupcake before him. He seemed upset about that, but the girl ended up giving him the cupcake, even though he wasn't like super upset. He was just upset, and like they were trading food bits. And I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, kids play their own games
Within the game.
Yeah, like this is one of those games where I thought about buying for him just because he enjoyed it, or at least taking him back and playing it with other kids that were actually going to follow the rules a bit better to see if he actually was interested in playing these. Because he plays video games, but he doesn't play any board games or anything like that. He typically just ends up playing with the pieces. And of course, my daughter's only one, so all she was interested in doing was putting the pieces in her mouth.
She wanted to see if the cupcake tasted like a cupcake. I can relate
She
with
seemed
that.
pretty happy with how it tasted.
I mean, this looks like
It's pretty solid.
It's definitely for really young kids. It's not anything
Oh yeah,
that's gonna.
absolutely. Yeah, this is not challenging at all or anything like that.
I mean,
it's
it looks
like,
like
a
you
neat game to
spin
play
and
with
you're
your
trying to
kids.
get the most. I mean, it's extremely luck based, which is actually, I think, good for kids games because then you don't have to worry about like trying to teach them strategy or any of that nonsense when they're really little. But I can imagine not even giving any kid over 4, I don't think would find this fun. But for really little kids, like Junior is what, 3 now? 2? 3? Or did he just turn 4? I can't
He's
remember.
almost 4 now.
He's almost 4 now, so he'd probably be on like the
he's-
Costco.
Jackie knows the months. I don't know the months, but he's 3 now. He'll be 4 very, very soon.
I don't remember my kid's birthday. It's not that big of a deal.
I want to say August.
I think you're right.
Facebook will remind me. Those Facebook memories, they always save me.
Oh, I had a kid this day. That's great. On this day, you had baby.
I can only remember my youngest birthday because it's the week after mine. So that's the only reason I remember it.
There you go.
Because she will never let me forget it. She wants my birthday over with in order to celebrate hers, basically. It's like, Daddy, your birthday's here? Yes, that means mine's next. It's like, cool. Nice to spend time with you.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. That's exactly
We're
what
doing
that means,
you want
sweetie.
today, but on my birthday, we're doing what I want.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean,
But,
it's a cute kids game, I think. But I don't know. Think my kids are too old for it. But for really little kids, just looking at it, I can see them having fun. What were you going to say, Sean?
No, I was gonna say it does look neat for little kids. But yeah, in the box art, or let me rephrase it. The concept of the game sounds. I wonder if this is a newer game or if it's existed for a while, because
It looks like
it sounds vaguely familiar to me.
when I looked it up
Well,
on
looking
Amazon,
looking
it
up, there
shows.
are definitely other picnic-based games, and
Yeah.
I think Zach's even played one before. where he mentioned it, and where I actually, when I brought this game up, I was expecting Zach to go, "Oh yeah, I've played that with my kids before."
Well, we played a game. It was called.
Remember him talking about something similar to this.
The one I talked about was it's a Haba game. It was called My First Orchard, and it is sort of like a picnic game. It came with a little bird that marks. The bird is trying to eat the food at the orchard, like the different fruits, like the apples and the berries and things like that. And it moves along this track, and all you do is you roll a die, so it is luck based. And when depending on what face of the die comes up, it might say, okay, you can take an apple and put it in your basket. Okay, you can take a plum and put it in your basket. Oh, you rolled the bird. The bird moves forward one space. So if the bird gets all the way to the end of the track, he eats everything in your basket. The game's over. But you're all working together. Everybody on their turn gets to roll the die and take one of the pieces of fruit and put it in the basket. And once you've got all the pieces of the fruit, you win. Super dead simple game. But we had played it with my youngest daughter, who I think at the time she was about to be 3 when we played it. And she liked it, and it wasn't anything even remotely intellectually challenging for an adult to play with, but it was a fun introductory kind of game for a little kid.
Yeah, this game felt more like just something mildly entertaining that was more like an activity that you could do with your kids. It wasn't really a game, because I'll be honest, I don't even think there are win conditions for this game. I think it's just play until all the pieces are taken.
Well, I mean, there might be win conditions, you just wouldn't know because that woman wouldn't let you play the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so what have you been playing, Sean?
So as far as board games go, or just hobby games in general, I've been playing more of the same. My family is obsessed. And by that, I don't just mean my brother, who is my roommate, like my other 2 brothers, their girlfriends, my parents. Everybody's obsessed with Secret Hitler. So I've been playing a lot of that. And then also my girlfriend is obsessed with Scattergories. So I'm playing a shitload of Scattergories. A lot of Scattergories. I just said a word. Doesn't matter. I played a bunch of Scattergories.
Move past it.
Whatever, doesn't matter. But what I've been playing, and you guys hadn't really heard of, it's not a board game. It's not really a video game. There's this series of games called the Jackbox Party Pack. So it's on PC and on any gaming console. But what you do is it's a series of little mini games, and you play them using your phone or a tablet. So everybody kind of like logs into a lobby and you kind of play that. So there's a few different games that we played in that. So the first one, and the reason why this is kind of relevant is all these individual mini games could be board games or card games. So that's why I feel like it's kind of appropriate to bring up. So one that is kind of a go-to is a game called Quiplash. So basically what Quiplash does is it kind of gives you a scenario. So it's like, hey, what's Oprah's favorite snack? And then 2 of the people who are playing will have to answer that question. And then everybody else will vote which answer they like better. So it's kind of like similar to a lot of like Cards Against Humanity and those types of games. So it's up to 8 players, and each, depending on how many players there are, so let's say there are 8 people playing, it'll be randomly generated. Each person answers 3 or 4 questions, and they'll be randomly pitted up against another person's answer, that other person who just happened to get that same question. Whoever got the most points wins. So that is Quiplash, and it's probably one of the better games. So it's very, very silly. All these games are very, very silly, and they just want you to be kind of sarcastic. Another game which we play a lot is called Fibbage. And what Fibbage is, there's a ridiculous trivia fact that is true. So it'll say, like, on his deathbed, George Washington had one final wish. He said blank, and that he farted and died. And then you have to fill in that blank with something ridiculous, but could be true. So, and once again, everybody answers the question, and then everybody votes on what they think the truth is. And if people guess yours, you get points. If you guess the legitimate right answer, which is also 9 times out of 10 absolutely ridiculous, you get a crap ton of points. And then after a couple rounds, whoever has the most wins. So both of those, the first game would definitely work. It works almost exactly the same as something like Cards Against Humanity. And then Fibbage would work very well actually they both kind of work in that same way. That they could be card games of some or party games that are on paper. And
I
with
can think of a
pen,
couple
and-
party games that play like that. Yeah. I can't
Yeah,
think of a
exactly.
title
So
off the top of
those are
my
the
head right
two
now, but yeah. Now that you've
Pictionary?
described this game to me,
Mm-hmm.
a coworker of mine actually told me about this a while back. He actually beta tested it on the PS4, and
Oh wow.
so I actually have heard of it. And it sounded, when he was describing it to me, I said the same exact thing then. I said, this sounds like a whole bunch of party games that I am aware of. Some of them I haven't played, but yeah, like Apples to Apples, the Cards Against Humanity type games, and some of the other ones where you got to vote and stuff like that. So it sounds like a lot of fun, especially if people don't want to play a real board game. You can kind of trick them into playing a board game on the PS4 or the PS3 or whatever.
Yeah, and it looks like it's on Android. I didn't think it was, but I just Googled it to find out. It looks like it's on Android and iOS as well.
And it's also on Steam, so that'll make Walt Chad happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we so my parents, there aren't any current gaming consoles at my parents' house, so I didn't even realize it was on Steam because I've always just played it on PlayStation or on Xbox. But it's on basically everything with a screen. So it's on PC, it's on Xbox and PlayStation, PS3 and 360/PS4. It's on iOS and Android. It's coming on the Switch, so it's on everything.
Is it on
that
Windows
connects to the
Phone?
internet that has. I don't even think the phone is on Windows Phone anymore.
How about BlackBerry? They're still around, right?
Yeah, I mean they make Android phones now, so absolutely.
That's true. Oh, they've gone the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
It's sad.
But yes, I mean that's what it is. I mean it is what it is. Whatever.
No,
We
that
should start
sounds like a
phone
lot of fun
podcast if we
because
want to talk about BlackBerry.
yeah, that's a whole different podcast.
The entire podcast will revolve around mocking, BlackBerry for being a failed phone.
They were
But
king for a while.
it's a lot of fun. It's a good collection of games. There's a bunch more that come in all the packs, but those are just the two that I played with my family this last weekend.
Cool. What's it called again?
It's called Jackbox Party Pack. I played the Jackbox Party Pack 3, but the original Jackbox 2, and Jackbox 3, there's some version of Quiplash and Fibbage in all of them, and then there's 2 or 3 other games that they kind of cycle out on each of the versions of the game.
Cool. I might have to look into getting a copy of that on one of my many screened devices and trying that out because I think I got a lot of family members who might like that, especially on Vanessa's side of the family. They like that style of party games, so that would be kind of cool to have. Neat.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it.
I'm happy to announce that Zach has joined us in the digital age, has finally got Steam, and will be joining me on Tabletop Simulator.
Yes, once it finishes downloading. I'll have to check that out. I also downloaded Tabletopia, which is another simulation program. I'll test them both out and see which one I like better. Hopefully it's Tabletop
I'm
Simulator
willing
since
to
you
help you.
gifted that one to me.
I think I have Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, we can play all.
There's no way I
We
don't.
can all play together.
It'll be fun.
So last up for me is a dexterity game that I play a lot with my kids called Ice Cool. This game it's about penguins in a high school who have gotten out of class and they are trying to run around the halls of the school and get fish because it's right before lunchtime and they're hungry. So you can have up to 4 players in this, and it's really neat because you open up the box and there is a box within a box within a box, and you clip all these boxes together and you form this huge board of the school. And in it, you have these little penguins that are on like little ball bearings, almost like Weeble Wobbles, if you remember those. And you're flicking them around the school through the doorways and the hallways and stuff like that. So at the tops of the doorways, you clip your colored fish. And when you go through a door, that fish, and then you get to draw a victory card, which has points on it 1 through 3. One of the penguins is going to be the hall monitor, and their objective is to flick their penguin and try to tag the other ones. And if they tag them, they get to take their ID card, and at the end of the round, that gives them victory points in the form of the fish cards. It's super simple, but it is a lot of fun trying to make trick shots and bounce the penguins off walls and get them to ricochet around. And you just feel like a boss when you hit those penguins just right and they'll ricochet around and go through like 2 or 3 doors at once. And it's just really fun. I've played this with my youngest all the way up to their oldest cousin. You know, Vanessa's played it. My mother played a round of it. I mean, everybody can play this game and have a lot of fun with it. So it's one of those games that just transcends age gaps and everything like that. Because like a lot of dexterity games do. And I have a lot of fun because it's easy to break out. And the girls, they just like flicking the penguins around. And they're just starting to get the concept of the scoring. And one of the neat things is if you get a bunch of 1 cards, which kind of stinks because, you know, it's the low scoring card because it's randomly drawn. But if you get 2 of them, on the cards there's a picture of ice skates. And if you get 2, you have a pair of ice skates. And you can flip them over and you get an extra shot, basically. And so it gives a little bit of strategy to the game, which doesn't have a lot other than the manual dexterity element. But we have a lot of fun with it. It's from Brain Games, I believe. And it's not that expensive either. I think it was only $25 or $30. I liked it a lot. Good components and fun for everybody. That's ice cool.
Plus, you get to flick penguins around.
You do get to flick penguins around, which is something you normally can't do in public. So
no, they don't let you flick the penguins. You can only pet them.
You can, just the dirty looks that you'll get.
Yeah, they don't like that.
I think they'll be more
People are
confused
so
as to where you got the penguin.
Yeah. Or if you do it at the zoo, they kick you out. Actually, I don't think they have penguins at the Roger Williams Zoo anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
For kicking penguins. Thought this was America.
You know, the reason why they don't have the penguins at the Roger Williams Zoo is because a bunch of kids who just played this game got all hopped up, jumped over into the penguin pen, and just kicked all the penguins.
I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You can't confirm it, or you can't confirm it. So it must
I
be
bet
true.
it's a conspiracy. The zoo covered it up because they didn't want people knowing about it. Or maybe Brain Games covered it up because they wanted to keep selling the game.
I'm done. I apologize.
Much like penguins, this will never fly. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
Other than the penguin conspiracy to destroy America, no.
Okay, then.
I mean, I guess maybe we could bring up, happy belated birthday, Zach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we forgot to say that, but
I appreciate
So,
that.
Zach, can I tell a quick aside or no?
You can? Sure.
It's about birthdays.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Okay,
Wait,
all right.
is it going to be appropriate?
All right, no. Yeah, it's appropriate.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Anyways, so the classic happy birthday song. So happy birthday to you. Da, 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 da. I don't know, copyright strike here.
It's not on copyright anymore.
Oh, perfect. I'm still not going to sing it, but you know what song I'm talking about.
Yeah. Way
the
back in
place that I
episode
go
1,
to
Walt Chad told
for-
us it was no longer under copyright, so.
Yeah.
yes, I did.
Brought to you by Well Chad. But no, there's a this place I go to for hibachi a lot, and their version of the birthday song is all the people that work there put on very creepy, like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck like heads, like just the costume heads, but they look like they're like homemade in somebody's basement, and they bang a gong. And they just go, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, birthday to you. Dun, 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 do, 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 do. So, yeah, that's my story. I'm going to sing it to you someday.
Okay. You should do that
Happy
on the
birthday,
next
buddy.
call at work.
That's my
All
story.
right.
I'm sorry. You can cut that out, too, if you want.
On that note, well, since no one wants to talk about anything else, let's cut over
Anyways.
to our rules breakdown of our review game today, Doom. Doom from Fantasy Flight Games is a dungeon crawling game for 2 to 5 players, based on the video game franchise of the same name. In Doom, one player takes on the role of the demons, trying to kill the other players, while the remaining players attempt to complete objectives as the Space Marines based on the scenarios they have set up. The Marine players are given starting equipment of different weapons from the game. These equipment cards are shuffled into a draw deck and are used to take action on their turn. Actions mainly consist of movement and attacking, with the occasional specials and door opening thrown in. The demon player has a special event deck that they draw from, as well as spawn cards representing the active demon creatures they have in play. As demons are killed or spawned, these cards would be flipped over to show whether or not they are currently active. Turn order is decided by the initiative deck. A card for each Marine in play, as well as each currently active demon creature, are shuffled into a deck. The top card is then drawn, and whomever, or whatever, comes up next gets to go next. As demons and marines are fragged or respawned, their corresponding cards are added and removed to and from the deck. Gameplay is simple. You move, you shoot, you collect items, and you try not to die. As players and demons take damage, they are given tokens to keep track of their life. If a Marine picks up a special item, it could heal them, or give them a new weapon. New weapons come with more cards, which are then shuffled into their draw deck, giving them more abilities. The Demon player can't pick up items, but they can spawn new demons, giving them more abilities to choose from. Most scenarios end if the Demon player frags the Marines enough times, or if the Marines complete a specific objective, like kill all the demons, or get certain items. Let's get back to the rest of the friends and find out what we all thought of Doom. And we're back talking about Doom from Fantasy Flight Games. Man, this game is like a nostalgia kick in the butt for me because I used to play the original Doom a lot on the computer, but I never played the new one. I think you two probably have because you're a lot better at games than me, video games, and more into that, right?
Oh yeah, loved the new Doom. Actually, after playing this, I was reminded of how awesome it was, and I actually reinstalled it.
Oh, good. So it did something good then. Sean, what about you? Have you played the newer Doom?
Yeah, I played the newer Doom when it first came out. I got like halfway through the game, and then something else came up. But I'm gonna go back to it at some point because it's awesome and it's the old game, but new. So it's very good. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I just have fond memories as a kid playing the original.
Doom was good because it pretty much defied all tropes that modern shooters have. Iron sights, only being able to carry 2 weapons at a time, generating health and all that nonsense. All that stuff was gone. It was back to the old ways of doing stuff. Ammo pickups, health pickups, armor pickups. Awesome weapons that just defied reality. No reloading ever. No iron sights. A melee button. And the glory kills. Sweet, wonderful glory kills.
Yes, the glory kills.
So that being said, the board game version of it, I think, Walcha, when you were playing it, you mentioned like a couple of your friends had said like, what is the point? You're like, what is the point in having a board game version of this video game? Like, you might as well just play the video game.
Yeah, because, it's one of those things where Doom is not a game you'd think would work in a board game setting. I can see where the criticism comes from, but at the same time, I just don't agree with it. This was fun. It was interesting. You don't always have a LAN party that you can have anymore. I mean, people don't even have LAN parties at all anymore.
Yeah, you're dating yourself with that one.
It's much easier to just bring this board game and they'd be like, hey, we can all order pizza and play this game.
I think the game itself, I mean, it looks gorgeous. The miniatures are all really well sculpted. I mean, even me, who I'm more familiar with the original computer game than this newer version, the newer version of the computer game, but I recognized a lot of the creatures, like the piggies, the imps. Like, I knew what they all were. The Marines are just a really modernized version of the original Space Marine, which I found really fun. It's just gorgeous miniatures, which is kind of Fantasy Flight's MO. They do usually have really good miniature sculpts, I feel, at least for board games. I know you're used to better miniatures with the stuff that you've painted and built, Walt, but Fantasy Flight...
I didn't say anything!
You've said it before with the X-Wing game and stuff, but I really dug the miniatures and the quality of them. I think that was the major draw for me, actually, was, just a box of miniatures. I'm a sucker for that. I think that's just really cool to have. And for some reason, I have it in my head that I'm going to paint those, and I'm probably never going to.
I agree, because one of the main reasons I was so stoked that you got this game was that it had awesome miniatures. That I'm thinking, oh man, I can't wait to he'll ask me to paint them, and I can paint them. That'll be awesome. I was disappointed that they were like you had to build some of them, and you didn't wait for me to put them together. I could have shown you how to avoid having such wide gaps in there, but that's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
The only one you have to build,
nitpicker.
The only one you have to build is the Cyber Demon, and all you do is stick the arm and the 2 arms in and the head on. So if you want to rebuild it and put them together again, go for it.
I don't. Did you glue it in or?
No, I did not. What were you going to say, Sean?
Oh, even better. Even that's perfect.
No, nothing. I was doing nothing. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, okay.
What I was going to say is that all I know is that a lot of games that interest me that have minis with them have like spurred me on to thinking that like I really hope that there will be an Overwatch game, And the minute that gets announced, I am buying it. You guys don't even have to pitch in. I will buy it for the minis alone.
It's about time you bought one of these
I
games.
want Overwatch minis.
I don't know. I found the quality of the components. I mean, Fantasy Flight always has decent pieces. The cardboard was, nice. The artwork on it definitely evoked Doom to me. Like, it was very dark. And I liked that they put in the power-ups and things. Like, that to me really reminded me of Doom, where I could move around the board and I could pick up other weapons and I could pick up health packs and stuff like that. That, like you said, I'm glad that they brought that back into the newer version of the video game. I'm really glad that they put that in the board game, because to me that is one of the quintessential pieces of the original Doom. Was like, you memorized where these levels were, where all the items were in the levels. Like, you knew, okay, I'm getting my butt kicked over here, but I can run over here and get this health pack. But it never respawned, which was kind of cool. So it was all a finite supply within the level itself. So kudos to Fantasy Flight. I mean, they made a gorgeous looking game.
It definitely. How did you guys think the combat was from your side? You guys had a much easier time of it than I did.
Well, I mean, as far as combat goes, I like that it was all relatively easy. It's all easy and straightforward. So obviously you have your main action card, and then once you play that main action card, you can play subsequent the subsequent cards. I can't remember what they're called right now.
Yeah,
the follow-ups.
bonus actions.
And it was very easy to follow once we knew what the rules were. And yeah, you did feel like you were powerful. Like, Walt, you would spend half your turn trying to maybe hit us, and then we would just blow the face off of one of the imps or one of the possessed soldiers or something like that. So you do feel powerful because you are a Doom Marine. So you should feel powerful. But you can also get overwhelmed, like when we opened the door and everybody you just kind of rushed Zach, and I was just in the corner gradually fighting people one by one. But the rules were simple enough. I liked that movement was dictated by the card that you were playing. It wasn't like a separate action, like, oh, you can move or attack. It's like, no, you can do both, because it's all based off of what card you play. And I liked having 2 shotguns, because in Doom, what else do you need besides a shotgun?
That's a good point about the card play, because staying on the Space Marines, I know Walt played the demons, but just stay on the Space Marines for a second. You have this deck of cards, and you draw up your hand, and the different cards that you have your main action, and the main action cards, at least with my deck, because I had different weapons than you, some of the cards didn't even have movement. So when we opened the door to the other chamber and Walt Chad got his spawn of demons to come back, it sucked because I didn't have any cards for movement, so I'm stuck there at the door, and I had to make a decision. It's like, okay, do I what do I do right now? But one of the special abilities of the Marines is to sprint, which is also a callback to the actual video game. You can sprint in the game. You can discard a card.
I think just movement speed of the original Doom guy was just insane.
Yeah, he really booked it when he moved.
Well, the power is you discard a card and you can sprint, so you can move. I think it was up to 6 spaces, which was the only way I could move. But then I have to sacrifice these really good cards that would allow me to do other things and to discard them. Now I'm going to get them back later, but it was a nice decision-making moment for me. How am I going to handle this? Because I didn't have any actual movement cards. Because of the weapons that I was carrying. I think I played Delta, who had the heavy machine gun, and I don't know what the other weapon was. I don't think it was.
I think it was a sniper rifle.
It might have been a rifle, yeah. But it was just interesting the way the card play. You have this luck of draw. The luck of the draw out of your deck, but you can work with it. There are ways to make it work for you in the situation that you're in.
I mean, that was so easy for me was because I was alpha and both my weapons were shotguns. You have to get up in people's faces to be able to use them. Mm-hmm. So that's why it was so easy for me to kind of move around for part of the game.
Which was interesting because you were down in a hallway with just one lonely demon, an imp swatting at you. And I opened up the door and there's like, I don't know, what was there, like 9 creatures in there that we had to kill?
6 or maybe. I don't
felt
know.
like a lot.
There were a lot, actually.
It's like a fish story. Now, from the demon's point of view, what do you think, Walt Chad?
It definitely made the Doom Marines a bit powerful because I had a pretty sizable army that it gives you. Like, to start with, they gave you just a smattering of guys, and then as soon as the level we're talking about is the tutorial level. there are 2 doors, and once you open those doors, I get to spawn the rest of my army. And even that just was not even nearly enough. I think I managed to get 1 kill in, and that was against Zach.
Yeah, you fragged me once.
And it took forever to put him down. That was cool, but it was unfortunate we weren't able to play further than that day, because I'd like to see where those like spawn points go. If it's one of those things where later on, for strategic value, they allow the demons to kind of like put secret spawn points where if the Space Marines open a door, they spawn here, kind of like Doom did. Because in Doom, the trick was, with all the Doom games, you'd get lured in by like a weapon somewhere, and you knew as soon as you picked up that weapon, there were going to be enemies spawning. You just didn't know where. You got ambushed. Doom was all about getting ambushed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the era before the jump scare. They couldn't give you jump scares, so they genuinely just turned the lights out on you and had a bunch of demons spawn in a very, light flickering room. That was the old Doom.
I remember as a little kid.
I could see that being a really cool thing. What's that?
I said I remember as a little kid that would scare the crap out of me in the game, like when I was really little.
Oh, it was awful.
But then you start to memorize where those moments would happen, so you knew it was going to happen, and even then, still, it could be scary. It was fun.
Yeah, it still scared you. You're still anxious because you didn't know if you were going to get out of that room alive.
Nope.
Awesome.
Unless you had the codes, IDKFA and IDDQD. I still remember them.
You could also, there was also the light code as well, where you could turn the shadows off.
I don't remember that one, but I do remember the all weapons and the God mode codes.
I think I was one of those like weakling children that did put all lights on all the time, and then when I turned it off, I realized how much darker Doom was. And I was like, wow, this game is really dark.
So one of the things I like about this is the initiative deck. I thought that was really cool because it was always changing. Like if you basically it had we had 2 Marines in the game, and at the initiative at the beginning of the game, you initially had 2 types of demons. So it was 4 cards in the deck, and we shuffled it up, and whatever card was turned over, it was that person's turn. So if it showed a demon card, then, you got to go, Wall Chad. But if it showed one of the Marines, whichever Marine came up got to go. But if someone died, like if all the demons were gone, or if, one of the Marines got fragged, they got taken out of the deck, which was really cool in my opinion, because it helped with the theme of the game. And then, obviously the Marine would respawn, and then when we opened up the door, more demons would spawn, so you got to put those demon cards into the initiative deck again, which was pretty neat. So at one point, I think you had 4 cards for the demons, so you were going over and over and over again, which is part of the strategy of you beating the Marines, I feel.
Yeah, it's a war of attrition kind of thing, though. Did not stand much of a chance. And again, we only played the introductory level, so there's a tutorial level. So
yeah, full disclosure, this is a
game.
first impressions review, as we are sometimes want to do in this.
Come next time, I'm sure we'll have more gameplay.
Yeah. All right. So, go ahead, Sean.
No, sorry. No, what I was gonna say was first introductory thing. So I mean, it's the kind of thing where it definitely is about the demons being able to overwhelm the Marines, and obviously in the tutorial level, that's going to be difficult because it's trying to teach the mechanics of both in a very simple way. So unfortunately, that means you should lose. Well,
yeah. I mean, a lot of these dungeon crawl like games, and this is a dungeon crawl. It's based on the same system that's in what is it? What's the Star Wars game? Imperial Assault? Yeah.
It's super similar to Rebel Assault. Imperial Assault, rather.
Imperial Assault yes. And Rebel Assault's a very different game. Imperial Assault and Descent. It's kind of similar to those systems that Fantasy Flight has, but this one is a lot more simplified, I feel, and easier to access. From what I understand of those games, I've never played them. But there's no ongoing campaign. It's just start a scenario and go. But
I mean, that's kind of how. One of the things about the new Doom game, or I say new, the latest Doom game, was that it was the Doom Marine ignored much of the story. Like he was very, I'm not interested in your story. I'm just here to blow up demons. That's my job. Stop giving me things to do. Just let me kill this entire base of demons, and I will be happy with that. And like the game keeps trying to like funnel him to a path of like, no, you have to do this and you have to do this. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna kill everything in sight. So I think that narratively fits there. That there's no like campaign. It's just, hey, we're here we've got a job to do, and that's kill all the demons. very straightforward, to the point. You don't need a story. You just need a wave of demons. That it would be cool if demons had their own kind of mechanics like they do in Ghostbusters and stuff like that. But I mean, the fact that you have one player taking turns with always playing demons or whatnot.
I think with
It's interesting.
that dungeon master role though, it's a one versus many game, which
Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of those, but it is appealing to me to like have that kind of I'm the overlord and everybody's against me. And I mean, you do potentially have a lot of forces at your beck and call. It's just, in this one scenario, you didn't get the other forces until we opened up the door. But because we knew that, we didn't open up the door until we killed everything else. So if we had been dumb and opened up the door, I think you would have easily beaten us.
Utilize the horde that I had. That was the main thing. Like, you have all these guys and you think, man, I should be able to do a lot of damage, but you can only use one of them at a time each turn, which, I mean, it was what it was.
I mean, the combat system is dice rolling, so, and then you had because of that combat system of dice rolling, but then you would flip a card over your deck and it would have the defense on it. I don't know if I liked that or not. I mean, it was kind of cool at first, but like if we attacked you, you would flip over your card from your event deck, and it might block, it might not, it might dodge. But there was no strategy to the defense. It was all luck of flipping a card. And same thing when you attacked us, we would flip over our deck, and it might have some dodge. Usually it was defense on my part. I don't think I had any dodges in my deck, but I think you did, Sean.
I had one dodge, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the rolling dice, that's a pretty common mechanic for attacks, in combat like that. But I don't know how I felt about that defense.
Well, I mean, I didn't mind it so much just because the closest analog I can really think of is Risk. So you're rolling to defend and someone's rolling to attack. Mm-hmm. So this just kind of cuts out that extra time. It's, hey, you flip a card, there's your defense. You don't have to roll against their roll, kind of a thing. So I mean, I didn't mind it, but there isn't any real strategy, to your point.
All right. Do you guys want to do final thoughts?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
For I'm gonna have a fairly grim outlook on it, in that it has potential to be a fun game, but what I saw wouldn't have sold me on the game if it weren't for the miniature quality. I really liked the minis. There was only one mini that had like a production problem with it, where its arms were a little stumpy and malformed.
And his guns were touching.
Yeah, he was he had deformities. But the game itself was mediocre.
Was it aggressively mediocre?
Oh,
I wouldn't say I would say very very middle of the road. And I see what you did there. I did. Don't think I don't appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But no, I would definitely try again. It just I could see. Yeah, I would try again. I'll just leave it at that. I would try it again. I want to try it again, so that way to see if it was just that scenario where, and I'd want to play as the demons too, because I want to see if that's what I'm judging by. My experience was playing from the demon side. Was that fun to play as? Because every role that's in the game should be fun to play as. I would want to be in a scenario where I have a little bit more of a chance. This one felt Sean mentioned Risk earlier. This felt very reminiscent of Star Wars Risk, where the Empire really just doesn't stand much of a chance. And I think we proved that, by the way. We played that how many times, and every single time the Empire lost.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a game where the Empire won.
Like, it was never even. The closest we got was Luke and Vader. Like, the Luke and Vader fight was the only thing that was ever close.
Yeah.
There is no winning on the Endor front, and the space battle is like maybe the most competitive that game gets. So,
all right. What did you think of the game, Sean? What's your final thoughts on Doom?
I mean, overall, I liked it, but I also like these types of games. So I think granted, I've only played the first few missions of Imperial Assault, and I've only played the tutorial of this. But I think I might like it better than Imperial Assault just because of the deck building mechanic part of it. So, but overall, I wouldn't say it was like amazing. It was awesome. I'm definitely interested in playing more. And I think that now that we really know what it is, because it took about half the game before we realized that Walt could play like those cards in between his attacks, kind of a thing, to kind of buff himself. So I feel like now that we have all the mechanics down, I feel like it would be a lot more challenging. it'd be a lot more fun. But so I liked it. I'm definitely interested in playing it again. But this is the kind of thing where you need to be playing with people who know how. Either you all need to be learning together, or you all need to know how to play it. Because I can see, like, if we brought in a fourth person to play this with us, it might be kind of annoying that they don't know what the heck's going on.
All right,
Zach,
I've had a lot
your
of time. I've had a lot of time to think about this. I definitely want to play the game again. I'm going to start by saying that. Because I think this game would benefit from more players, because you can have up to 4 Space Marines playing. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming in the other scenarios that we're going to get to that it's going to be a lot more challenging and easier for the demon player to give you that challenge. Or I'm hoping that it's going to be easier for them to give you a challenge. I find that I am always drawn to want these types of games because of the bling, because of the miniatures, because of, the nostalgia of, I played Doom as a kid, whatever it is. But whenever I get to play these types of games, I feel like I'm let down in some way. And I don't know if it's because, it was just our first try and we were learning, or, what it was, but I didn't feel like I got what I was expecting out of this game. Which is a little odd for me to be the one giving the negative review of the three of us. Because I learned recently, like, the games that I'm least excited to get and play, I have the most fun with. Like, thinking back, Seven Wonders, when I first heard of the game, I didn't want to touch that game with a 10-foot pole. Somebody had given it to me, and I'm like, this looks boring. And I played it, I'm like, this is amazing. More recently, Orleans. Like, I had heard good things about it, but it just looked boring. And then Vanessa and I got to play it at TotalCon, and I loved it. And it just teased every part of my brain that I wanted to play this game. And Doom, I was really excited for it because, all right, it's a dice chucker. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, killing and running. And it was just, it didn't go fast enough, I feel. And maybe that's because we were learning it, but it didn't hit the mark that I was looking for it to hit. I'm kind of disappointed. But I want to play it again with more players and in a more challenging scenario. I think that might bring it back, or I hope it might bring it back for me. But that's it. That's my thoughts on Doom.
Indeed. So overall, we want to play more.
But it needs more plays. Yeah.
Expected.
There are parts I really liked. I loved that turn order initiative. I really liked that when you picked up another weapon, it added to the deck. I thought that was really cool. It gave more of some choices there, and it tied back to the elements of the original game where you could carry all the weapons you wanted, even though it defied all the laws of physics. It just, I don't know. It didn't hit much else, though. There wasn't enough there. There wasn't enough meat in the game.
Not hopefully, at least it was a poor demo of a potentially good game.
Go ahead, Sean. What were you saying?
No, I was going to agree.
All right, I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way. I would have felt bad if you guys were raving about it. So what I will say is then I don't feel as bad if I hand it off to you, Walt, to paint and take for as long as you want to mess with, because it's just going to take up space in my collection. I would like it back, but because I definitely do want to try it again, like I said. But yeah, if you wanted to take it and paint it, I won't have any hard feelings if you have it for a while. Oh man.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that wraps up this Doom, I feel. Overall, it's not the greatest impression, but we're going to give it another shot. We will look back on this. When we get another chance to play it, I think we'll talk about it again in a future episode. But that was our first impressions of it. Not the best first impression, but there's still potential there. All right?
Until we play next.
Until we play again, yes.
That wraps up this episode of Board with Friends. If you have questions to ask, grievances to make, or comments to deliver, feel free to email us at boardwithfriends42@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at boardwithfriend. Like us on Facebook, or check out our website, boardwithfriends.blogspot.com. If you enjoyed this show, check out some other podcasts like The Say Report, the Local Multiplayer Podcast, or the Fanholes Podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.